Recording.
Fuck, take two. What up, my good pups? Need for Steve back at it with another video today. I guess I'll do my 1 year review of the 2020 Honda Grom. What I think about it, what I feel about it, what I tell you that you should like about it. So yeah, this is the 2020 Honda Grom. As it currently sits, we're about 2,600 miles on this gauge cluster. And if you haven't seen the video before earlier, but when I took it in to get some warranty work done, the people that I took it to, Peak Honda World in Littleton, totally just flew by the fucking gauge cluster. I don't know what the hell they did. I'm like, it went in for a, I'll go into that later, but essentially they fucked up the gauge cluster, and so I got the gauge cluster from the OGs, and so I had to reset it, but the other one was at like 5,500 miles. So I'm about collectively about a little over 8,000 miles in a year on a Grom. I think it was just fucking awesome. But yeah, my 2020 Honda Grom. What do I think about it? Is it's my only bike? It's my absolutely fucking. It lures a lot of people just kind of like growing up and riding like pit bikes and dirt bikes, and for me, like my very first motorcycle was when I was 17. It was a 2003 Honda Metropolitan. And if you haven't seen one of those, I'm like, they still make them, but it was like one of the OG Honda Metropolitans. And we had a buddy that we worked with, his name was Josh, that he bought one, and we were just like super jealous because we all worked together. And I'm like, I really want one, and my parents got me one for my 17th birthday. It was the best present ever. Besides my FZ07, that was when I bought for my 29th birthday. So the 2020 Grom, it's kind of a throwback to the smaller CCs. I'm like, you're gonna have a lot of fun on a smaller CC bike, and a lot of it is they're cheap to maintain, they're cheap to own, and just really fun to ride. It's been good. It's been a year of shenanigans. As you can see, this bar pad here, it says shenanigans. I got rid of the Pro Taper one because it's ugly. Honda Grom, the things that I like about it, they look cool. They're fun. They're fun as shit to ride. You could get 130 plus miles to a tank of gas. The insurance is fucking cheap. This thing cost me $12 a month to insure, and that's fucking full coverage too. Like $12 is cheap to fully insure motorcycles. So if somebody takes it, they'll reimburse me for the entire cost of the motorcycle. I'm like, why not? That would be like a no-brainer. I think the styling cues, I really like the Street Fighter look that these have on the front ends. Totally wasn't particularly fond of the OGs, and mainly it was just because like the headlight and some of the fairings with it, but like this thing has fucking plastic cheap fairings on it too. But what else? And the new ones, I don't particularly care for the headlight either. But having the extra fifth gear and the gear indicator would be kind of cool to have, but it wouldn't be worth it to me to take a loss on this thing for those extra features, I guess. Some of the highlights of owning a Grom is the cost of ownership is like next to none. You put maybe $5 worth of gas in it at any given time. It'll last like a good couple days. Again, depending on how often you run. The fun factor on it is amazing. Like I always have a fun ride. I always have a good time riding this thing, no matter what it is. I'm like, I could be at a really shitty day, I'll just go out for a Grom run, I'll be okay for the remainder of the day. Cost of ownership is cheap. Like I just bought some new Dunlop Sport Touring tires. I can get a whole set of tires for this thing for half the price of a fucking front tire on an FZ07. Well, the back tire on this thing was like $51, and the front one was like $49. It's not like a big difference in cost between the front and the back, but another $50 to put them on through Cycle Gear. So You know, you fucking put a quart of oil on it every 3,500 to 4,000 miles is recommended. But you know, the hardest part is taking the side cover off onto the, I believe it's the left side. No, it's the right side. You know, and pulling cleaning the filter out, but that doesn't really take all that much effort. You know, it's a little extra step. A lot of it is taking the frame slider off, and even that's not all that bad. I actually know some of the other likes is it's easy to park. We had went to it's the Crown Rally. It was like a car rally that Denver had yesterday morning. It was just like all these people in their supercars. But I was able just to go park it up to a street next to a fucking sidewalk, and you know, just leave it. Like this thing is great for getting in and out of like parking garages without paying for them, or hell, you could even take a fucking bike trail if you really wanted to fucking get away from people. You know what I mean? It's a ton of attention. Like everybody loves looking at this thing, and a lot of people don't know what it is. I've gotten more attention on this thing in a year of owning it than I ever did with the FZ07. I'm like, people like the FZ07, but to them it's just another big sport bike. Where this, like, I mean, the Groms are super popular. Don't get me wrong, but I still don't think a lot of people know what they are. So that's kind of where this thing comes in. You know, this thing is just a head turner. I'm like, I'm really digging the orange. I recently just peeled off the Fast and Furious graphics. I've had those things on for it was about a little over almost a year. They're starting to peel off and started fading, but I'm like, well, I'll just kind of you know, peel it off. I think I want to wrap it again. I don't know what I want to wrap it in. I think like a matte gray would be cool, or even like cement gray with Toyota has. Or even like Nardo gray that Audi does. So those were kind of the areas where I'm kind of leaning to of where I wanna do the wrapping on that. Like, I like the orange, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of over the orange for a bit. I always like it, but or I could buy just black plastics and do black plastics, but that might be an option too. But I mean, when it comes to like the Honda here, I like all of their like chunky switches, and you know, nothing feels cheap up here. And that was the one thing I didn't like about the Yamahas. Like, the turn signals felt cheap. The starter switch was cool, but I really like the starter. It's just like one button and turn it off, turn it on. It's been a solid bike to run around. I'm like, it's totally not meant for two people. It has passenger pegs on it. I'll go into depth a little bit later about that. And you just fucking put gas in it, make sure it has oil. I should do a better job at fucking checking the tire pressure on this thing. I went out for a ride the other day, and my fucking tire was flat, but I still managed to do 50 miles an hour, which probably wasn't good for it, but I mean, whatever, it's fine. The mods on my 2020 Grom. I got heated grips, Costa Apollos. I got new levers because the stock levers suck. I got a new aftermarket seat cover from who the hell, I don't know. I've made a video about that in the 4. Some TST frame sliders here. My favorite thing is my Vance and Hines motorcycles. Lost a little scratch, but it's fine. My stainless steel brake lines from Cormoto, front and back. It has a high flow air filter. Another thing I like from the factory is it comes with LED headlights from the factory. I mean, they don't do so good at night, but most headlights don't do so good at night. But anyways, I changed the turn signals to the TST 6 light ones. The hot bodies, the hot bodies fender eliminator. Mike, this thing is, I mean, it looks great, but it's really shitty plastic, and the license plate light died. I really like the stock tellage on that. That's one thing I haven't changed yet, and I don't know if I'm going to, but what else? I think that's mainly it, besides the tires, but I probably won't run knobby tires again, because like I don't really use them a lot. I just kind of do it. But yeah, I've gotten close to about 5,000 miles off of them, And, but yeah, my back tire has a big plug in it. The brakes are good. I wrapped the forks black. I didn't do a good job, but they're black. It's fine. What else? I think that's it. Oh, the mirrors. I went into detail about those. There's a video on the channel if you're curious about those. But got my wrong purse and my wireless charger from Quad Lock that always seems to turn on when I don't want it to. Some gripes about this thing after a year of ownership. Again, never had any issues with it. I did have an issue where I took the Grom to Peak Honda World just for some warranty work, and that was back in December, November. But I think the speed sensor was all fucked up. They may have replaced that. I don't know what they did. They didn't really do a good job, but they destroyed my gauge cluster, so I had to buy a new one. They did fix the speed sensor issue, but it's weird. Back to the passenger pegs, both Honda Groms that we have, my brother's and mine, the rear passenger peg doesn't do shit. So they were supposed to fix that, but they didn't. But the right one's fine. No issues with that. But come to the left one, it doesn't work. We don't know why. I'm like, not that you'll carry a passenger on this thing anyways. It's not very fast to do that. But yeah, again, those are essentially really the only problems that I've had with this thing, and they're super minor. And like, well, I would like them to get that done before it gets any worse, or I can't get to it. It's all just like shit under warranty. They'll make them fix it. But yeah, that's my current mods. What I like about it, some of the issues. Some of the things that I don't like about it, it's not very fast. So I think 55, 60 on a good day. Most times you can get about 55, and it's really okay, just cruising around town and scooting out of traffic and that kind of shit. I mean, it's a small bore bike. What do you want for it? My future plans with it, probably some stiffer clutch springs, oil pump. I don't know if I should get like the straight up oil pump or the Kosa one, because I still really want to learn how to do wheelies with it. My thing was I was going to wait till after the warranty expired to do that kind of shit, because at that point Honda's not going to pay to replace it. So I'm like, well, I might as well just go put some stump parts on it. So yeah, I got some crash protection from TST Industries. Those are pretty solid. I do want to put a big bore kit on it. I don't know if like a 186 from DHM Motoring, where the tune's from. I know people put like the upgraded cam in it, and that seems to do it. But I think I'm going to spend the money and get some engine work done. Might as well just put a fucking big block on it, or a big bore kit, and have some fucking real fun out of it. Because I think with like 186 cc's or 190 or whatever the going is, I think would be a shit ton of fun. I'm like, I could totally live with that. So I think that's going to be kind of the next step that I go to. I don't know when I'm going to do it. Probably sometime this summer, I think. So be on the lookout for that if it's something that I film. Like, I've been really bad about filming content for like mods on this thing. I'm like, well, it's just been kind of whatever. Like, there's a shit ton of videos on YouTube about this stuff. I'd just be copying them. Except the Grand Purse of the mirrors. But yeah, I also like the rear sets that Impact Tech makes. They're black and they're really fucking chunky and they look awesome. So I think that's going to do it. And I also really like Impact Tech's rear sub cage for this thing. But I don't think I'm like, it's an extra $400. I don't know if I want to spend. It probably wouldn't be the worst thing, but if I just learn how to wheelie this thing, I think it'd be okay with it. Essentially, I think that's kind of everything. I think that's my one-year review of the Honda Grom. Absolutely love it for the price. Like, it brings me sanity to every day from working from home. Again, first world problems, but it is what it is, and just kind of the aspect of working from home. I'm like, Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love what I do, and I love working from home because I don't have to put real pants on. But I like the mundane of sitting inside your house fucking literally 24 hours out of a day. It really starts getting to you. Like, it really can affect your mental health. And, you know, working for a company that deals with mental health, I'm kind of starting to, I wouldn't say to become an advocate for, but I think it's okay to talk about it. And, you know, the Grom is the thing that is my escape from that, you know. Even if it's for half an hour or 20 minutes, or if it's like a 2-hour run, I'm like, I can go back home and be totally okay with just like getting back into the swing of things and preparing for my day. And that's one of the nice things about working at 9:30 in the morning, is I can go out for a morning ride, eat some breakfast, and, you know, enjoy my work day instead of waking up at 4 o'clock to go to work. Although I didn't mind that, because I did get Friday, Saturday, Sundays off, and that was great. But working for a company that doesn't give a shit about their employees really eats dick. But another one of the other things I dislike about this is the mushy clunking shifting, because this thing always kind of like wants to drop out of second gear into neutral. It's not a terrible thing, but I think it's pretty common. Hardboy Racing, or there's a company local called GoGrom.com that makes a shift shaft like race kit, I guess. And apparently that's supposed to help with the shifting, so I might look into one of those. But yeah, I think that's gonna do everything. And another thing that was weird with it is when I took this thing in again for the service for the gauge cluster, it was weird because the high beam light would sit there and flicker, and it would eventually turn off. And it was weird because this one did the same thing, and when I was riding at night, it would just like glow blue and would annoy the shit out of me, even though I didn't have my high beams on. So what I did is I just took the gauge cluster apart, put a piece of electrical tape behind the light on the high beam. So I got high beams and you can't see it, so that's how I eradicated that problem. Like, I'll just fucking jury rig that shit. Alright, I think that's gonna essentially end this video. I thank you so much for watching. I'm Steve on the Grom. I will see you guys in the next one.